Three people could be doing the same thing. One of them has a lousy attitude, doesn't like what he's doing. The other one, as far as he's concerned, he's not even in mind in what he's doing. He's busy thinking about his money. But the other guy, he's aspiring. I want to help the world. I want to make a hospital where sick people can come there and get healed and cured. So in life, when you walk into shul, don't just think, oh, I'm walking into shul. Think, I'm making people get better. I'm going to daven for a chayla. I'm going to daven for someone who needs a shidduch. I'm davening for someone who needs a child. I'm davening for someone who's in jail. What a different way to look at shul. Another kid, why does he go to shul? Because I get a lollipop from the candy man. So three people go to shul. One thinks, I'm going to shul because my mommy said to go to shul. The other one, I'm going to get a cam. I'm going to win a raffle. And the other one, I'm going to help Klal Yisrael. Today there was a terrible tragedy in Eretz Yisrael. But the next time you go to shul, especially in the yeshiva, tell yourself, when there's the Kol Yaakov, when there's the strong voice of Yaakov, the Yadayim and the Esav fall down. You want to overcome the enemies, the terrorists, the Arabs, Zichram? Here's what you do. You're mechazik in your davening, mechazik in your learning Torah. And then in the merit of the Kol of Yaakov will fall the hands of Esav. One of the nicest brachos that we say every day, practically every day, is Borei Nefashos. Some people say the bracha quickly without much thought, but there's so much meaning in that bracha. The words really mean, thank you Hashem, King of the universe, our God, the Eibishter. Borei Nefashos, rabbis, that you create so many souls, v'chesronan, and their feeling of lack, that they know they have to eat, to take care of themselves, and have to drink. And you made us all the things we need to live. You give us the air, the oxygen, the nutrients, the minerals, the food. It's a gewaltige bracha. We say, blessed is Hashem who lives forever. So there was a story that really moved me to tears, and I'd like to share with you today. I just want to ask the two boys who are playing with their airplanes to kindly show some kavod for the shir, and please find your seat. It distracts me when I see boys playing. No, find your seat, thank you. You have to learn Taracheretz and etiquette, how to behave when you're in front of a teacher. Okay? If you don't want to behave, there's a door over there. And what happened was, on Shushan Purim, the famous Baba Rebbe, the famous Shlomo Halberstam, the Frierdiker Baba Rebbe, had a very interesting custom. His custom was to celebrate the day after Purim, which we call Shushan Purim, with the same exuberance and simcha and joy as Purim itself. I could joke and call it Yom Tov Sheni Shalgalius. He kept an extra day of Yom Tov for Purim. Now, in most places, Shushan Purim is not celebrated in Chutz La'aretz. In Yerushalayim, it's celebrated. But in the Babav community, the Rebbe would mamish make freilich and sing, and he would visit his relatives on that day. And by each relative, he would come with his chassidim, and they would come into the house singing in the streets, even in the streets of Borough Park, singing with the Rebbe and his entourage. And as they would come into a house, they were always served a piece of cake and a cup of wine. And the Rebbe only ate a little bit of the cake just to make a mezainis. But he made sure not to eat a lot of cake because he wants in each house to have a little mezainis. He doesn't want to stuff himself. And he would take the wine and make a l'chaim to everybody and give cups to the different members of the family, say their name, make them feel good. And it was a beautiful celebration. One time, the Rebbe was visiting on Shushan Purim, the day after Purim, his friends, his relatives. And then he realized, Baruch Hashem, we went to all the relatives. You know, we have some more time. Let's make one more visit. And the Rebbe said, let's go, I believe, to Reb Shmuel's house. I think that was his name. And he said, what was it, Reb Shmuel's house? Reb Shmuel was the Rosh Hashiva of the yeshiva. He actually was once a student in the Baba Yeshiva after the Holocaust, when the yeshiva started, I think, in Williamsburg. But he grew from being a student in the yeshiva to becoming the Rosh Hashiva. Unfortunately, though, he never had children. And he was married for many years. Children are a wonderful present from Hashem. And everyone wants to have lots of children. And unfortunately, Shmuel didn't have. So the Rebbe decided, let's go to his house and visit him. And bench him with the bracha, l'chaim, with a cup of wine. And when the Rebbe got there, everyone was surprised that he's visiting him. And he served the cake and the wine. And then the Rebbe made a request. If I'm not mistaken, this time he didn't even take wine. I think he took tea. I'm not sure. I don't think he took wine this time in this house. And when he took the tea, it was hot. He waited for it to cool off. They said Divrei Torah. They sang HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And then, when the tea cooled off, he was able to, to drink it. At that time, though, he gave the other people wine. He himself drank tea. And then, he said, I'm going to say Bari Nefashis now. And the Olam was wondering why he took a tea, and okay. And as he said Bari Nefashis, he said, Baruch Hashem, blessed are you Hashem. Elokeinu, our Eibishter, Melech Haolam, the King of the universe. And he said, Bari Nefashis Rabbis, you are the creator of so many souls. And he said it with such intensity, such feeling, that everyone there realized that he was asking Hashem a tefillah when he said the bracha. That Bari Nefashis Rabbis, please Hashem, create many more people. And he looked at Reb Shmuel, the Rosh Hashiva, who never had children. And he also looked at his Gabbai, one of his Gabbais, who was a student, who had one son, and he never had children after that, for many years. He for sure didn't have quadruplets. And he turned to him, and he said, you know what? While he's saying, Bari Nefashis Rabbis, he's going to daven to Hashem in those words, that Hashem, you're the one who creates so many people. There are about 6 billion, 7 billion people in the world. Please, Bari Nefashis Rabbis, please, Master of the world, who creates so many people. And he looked at these two Hasidim, and he was saying, Hashem, bless that man who didn't have children, and that man who only had one child, and he never had more. Bari Nefashis Rabbis, bless them, they should have children, because you are the one who creates the children. And he said it with such feeling that all the Hasidim chapped the kavanah of the Rebbe. And they answered, Amen. And when you say Amen, you create an angel. Because the gematria of Amen is the same gematria as Malach, which means 91. It's also the gematria of two of Hashem's names. And right then, everyone wished Reb Shmuel and the Gabbai that yes, they should have a good year. And that year, thanks to the Rebbe's bracha, Tzadik Geizer Kash Baruch Hu Mekayim, he was zeicha to have a son, and the other one was zeicha to have a daughter. But the story doesn't end there. About 20 years later, that boy and that girl became married. And they invited Reb Shlomo Halberstam, the Frierdiker Baba Rebbe, to be the Messiah Kedushin. And you can imagine the simcha at that chasana. So the next time, boys, you're making a bracha, let it be a Bari Nefashis. Have in mind someone who needs children. Everyone knows someone who wants to have more children. Say Bari Nefashis Rabbis. Maybe in your zechus or your bracha, Hashem will bless them with more nefashis. There's a chazal that says Harbe Shluchim Lamakom, which loosely translated means Hashem has lots of messengers, which means he has who knows how many angels that he sends around the world to do his missions. Chazal even tell us that every grass that grows, a piece of grass, has a malach that Hashem put in charge telling it to grow. So you can imagine there's a lot of angels. But I want to tell you a story about a human angel who really helped me and made a big Kiddush Hashem in the process. What happened was, I started a Torah show many years ago, and I used to use old-fashioned slides. These were Kodak carousel pictures that you put into a projector, old-fashioned, before computers, and it would go onto the wall. People used to tell me, why don't you use a computer? And I said, I like this. It's old-fashioned. If you come to the office, you see stacks and stacks of slides. Just a picture, like it's on a white frame and it falls into the light. Maybe I bring it here one day when we have show and tell. Everyone could bring in something for show and tell, that it has to be something that's not used anymore. And then we can explain what the advantage of it was and things like that. But anyway, what happened was, I was very anxious to get a certain school to hire me. Because some schools, they say, why should we hire you? Which other schools had you? If they hear other schools had you, maybe then they'll say, okay, we'll have you too. So what happened was, please find your seats, thank you. What happened was, they finally gave me the opportunity. And I went and I set up my equipment and I put on the presentation. And this was already when I had a Toshiba computer that was sponsored by Dr. Abe Shames, alav shalom. They called him the Gadol Hadar of Chesed. He was a giant of kindness. It turns out, what happened was, I had finished the presentation, and I came home to my house, and there was someone in my driveway. So I said, you know what? I'll find a different parking. I drove, and you know how Brooklyn is. Sometimes till you find parking, it can take time. Finally, I found parking, and it was raining. So I said to myself, okay, I'm not going to get all wet walking far away from my house to my house. So I decided to just sit in the car and work on my laptop and maybe make some changes. After I do a presentation, I like to see if there's anything I want to change for next time. And I'm moving around some pictures, and I'm sitting there, and I'm waiting for the rain to stop. Okay, the rain didn't stop. Turns out, I put the laptop in a position like this. Okay, like standing up, vertical, on the chair next to me. When I went around the car a couple minutes later, saying, okay, I'll have to walk home in the rain, I didn't chap, but the laptop was leaning on the door. So when I opened the door of the passenger side, the laptop fell into a puddle. I started crying. I started davening. I started saying Shir Lamalis, not for a sick person in the hospital, but for a computer that was drowning in the ocean. Not the ocean, a puddle. As far as the computer is concerned, it's the same thing as the ocean. And I opened it up and I realized a computer and water are enemies. They can't survive together. It's like a fire and a water. They just don't get along with one another. You know, when there's too much fire, the water evaporates. If there's too much water, the fire is extinguished. And I opened the computer and I realized it was flooded. You know, so quickly I took it home and I put my computer in rice. Because we know that if a cell phone gets wet, put it in a bag of rice. And rice has a way of absorbing moisture. Hashem made it that way. And it's kind of like a sponge, soaks up moisture that's evaporating and then it dries out. Many people have saved their cell phone from death by a bag of rice. One time in my house, the funniest thing happened. My wife's phone was in a bag of rice because it got wet and she was drying it. And then like the next day it was still in the rice and the phone started to work. And then the phone started to ring. And I'm looking around to answer the phone. I didn't know where the phone is. You know sometimes you're looking for the phone. Where's the phone? Finally, I'm like, where's the phone? Finally, I'm looking at rice. It's in a bag of rice. It's inside the phone. To open the rice, take out the phone. Anyway, where's the angel that I told you about? And I'll leave you with this. I found out that Reb Mordechai Gelber has a list of 100 gemachs, maybe more. And one gemach said we lend out computers for someone who needs. I called up Mrs. Schulgasser. I think that's her name. Oh, actually, that's her maiden name. And I said to her, do you have a computer? My other one fell in the water. And she said, yes.